when I was before. And it's like after we do, well, when I do the leg set, and I'm like you're drunk. And I was like, why the fuck is there? as if I'm dieting. Like, it's not high, but like, I'll eat, and an hour later I'm like, but it's like 400 grams of rice, 280 grams of chicken, and then 20 grams of oil. That's like 4 times a day, and then obviously your breakfast and stuff, but yeah, it's just, yeah, dude, I don't have to be in that state again where I'm like, I'll never tie my shoes again, not that I do right now, but I look at her and I'm like, can you please put on my sock? Like, I can't.
So part of the reason I do it this way, specifically, is because any person that has ever used a pull down like this with a single pulley on the top, it's centered right here with the seat. If you're gonna do any sort of a lat movement, a lat pull down, single arm here. Oh, let me bring this up. If you're gonna do a lat pull down, you gotta have your arm travel forward in front of your body like this. So your upper arm actually travels across your rib cage. The closer you can get it to your rib cage, the better. But if you watch this, if you have a cam that sits in the center of the seat, you want to do a single arm lat pull down. My arm is crossed this way, and then as I pull, my elbow goes out. This is not getting your lat involved nearly at all. Then the only other way to do this is to offset by putting yourself on the corner of this, and now you're just basically floating in space for you to get any sort of lined up to the cable so it's workable. Which then, you're already not really sitting in the seat. You don't really have a good bracing opportunity with anything, maybe just a little bit with this leg that's under the pad, but then you got nothing to hold on to with your upper body. You have only a part of your lower body anchored and then the rest of it's floating. If you're gonna do 40 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever on this, if it's so far underneath your loading capacity, it's not really an issue, but you're not gonna do this for no reason. So, opportunity here, set this here, put your knee underneath this. Now you're connected to the ground. You can put almost your full foot into the ground. You can put some knee pressure up into this so your lower body's locked in place. You have another contact point, you can hip against the pad. You have your other leg down on the ground, so you can actually put some ground force pressure through your back foot as well to push yourself forward. And now as you pull, you're anchored in place from your lower body, and now you have somewhere to anchor yourself with your upper body too, where you don't have that opportunity doing it just seated. And now, you can see that my shoulder is directly lined up to that cable from here. So I no longer have an alignment issue, my elbow can track straight forward, and I'm actually locked in place. So you're not relegated to only doing this with a quarter of your possible loading capacity. You can actually do it with something that's progressive, and you don't have a definitive limit to where you can progressive loads. You can bring this all the way down to the bottom of the stack if you're strong enough at some point, because you have enough anchor points to stay in one place. Try and do that kind of load progression while you're just sitting with half of your leg on this seat, or sitting in the center with no real anchor point, your arm pointing outwards. In any case, you're not hitting the goal, and it turns the movement entirely worthless for you. So, always think about creating movements. Should you have to get creative and think them up, make a movement that is infinitely progressible, and what work you're going to do on it already will translate to the work you'll do in the future when you're better at it. Creating movements that have a definitive upper limit to what you can do with them, not a great plan. So don't do it.
What he said.
Yeah. Alright. It'll be bent over double now.
Like everything just made sense from there. When I was looking for a certain feel, like when you get into that position, where it's like, well, back doesn't hurt, hips don't hurt, and it's like once you set it, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing. For the first time in 16 years.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm doing.
After 16 more years, you can get it.
I can now get my back.
That was good. You finally learned it.
So 2 weeks.
That's like, honestly, that is probably the highest requirement in the continuum, being able to control that range, doing a dumbbell bent over row. It's the hardest for you to maintain that motion to control. Yeah, and then also trying to articulate G-spine flexion and extension at the same time. Like you being able to separate and actually figure out, like you hinge through your hip, you set it, and then there's a differential between your lumbar spine and your thoracic spine. And now you can set your lumbar spine and not move, your thoracic spine moves instead.
I remember the first time you showed me this, I was like, there's no fucking way I've ever remember all this. Like, here's part 1, here's part 2, here's part 3, and I'm like, whoa. Then when you get it, you're like, oh.
Yeah, but look at that, twice through, and you got it.
It's not bad.
You overcomplicate everything. Oh, just pick it up. Yeah.
It's like something that sounds so simple.
Yeah. It's a message to everybody that says overcomplicate shit for no reason. It's only complicated because people don't know how to use their bodies. That's literally it. Literally.
That's literally it.
Training for 2 decades, just learned how to hip hinge and row properly. Yeah, it took a lot of cues. But guess what? You're just picking it up and lifting it did you no good for 2 decades. So yeah, maybe you complicate things just because everybody does shit wrong. Surprise.
Yeah, they look for all wrong people.
Yeah. Just pick it up. You make it so complicated. It's just lifted, bro. It's just lifted. Okay? So you can boil down kinetics and kinematics, all of biomechanics, all into just rip it and rip it, bro.
Oh, you're yeah, that's okay. It's made for the beast.
That's okay.
That's made for the beast. How does that right now?
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't have to do any movement. So your arguments are just rip it and rip it, but you also don't have to necessarily do anything. So what?
The guys that are doing pull down and big rows and building back.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm gonna do
Yeah. They're the same guys that be like, I'm gonna deadlift now because I want to. Like rip and rip it. Oh, but I got back problems, bro. I can't do that anymore.
The next time you don't see them.
Yeah.
Like, where's the? I think you put the head up.
Yeah. Rip it and rip it guy fucks up his back. Yeah. That'll lower deadlift. Rip it and rip it. Okay. See you in the infirmary, bud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck with that spinal cord.
Still box put away.
Yeah. For now. Come on. go on Nick's page, his Instagram page, and he shows you how to shift your hips. Man texted me, he didn't like listen to the he goes, what the fuck are you guys doing? And I was like, we're talking about that Frenchie here and what he does and the way he's just tapping. I said, Nick walked for so long, he understands like making his tail. Mr. Big.
Mr. Big.
Mr. Big.
Yeah.
Any warm-up sets. So what I'm used to is doing one plate aside warm-up, two plate aside warm-up, three plate aside warm-up. Then I have that quarter. That would be my top set. But we just went right into working set. You mentioned jump volume before and how it's unnecessary, but I felt so weird. Because it's like you don't feel right away because you're not inflamed, but just 2 weeks into it, dude, basically what you said was unnecessary.
Yeah.
That jump volume.
A lot of the time it isn't necessary to do way too many warm-ups for these movements. Especially when you start a session with a more complex movement of the same type and the same target, and then you move to a lesser complex movement afterwards. Essentially, the path you just traveled in roughly the same as what the dumbbell row is that we did before it. And since that's the case, but this is more externally stabilized, the path that your arm moves is going to be set in one track as long as your body stays where it is, because the handles only move in one way. So this being pretty much the same path relative to where your arm goes, relative to your body. You don't really need to do a ton of warm-up sets on this because it's the same thing, essentially, with a little bit of a different resistance profile to it. And then you can accentuate the end ranges a little bit more to take advantage of the fact that it is externally stabilized and it's on a stable track. So this is just a way to get a little bit more out of a similar pattern to the same target. And if you're doing that for session to session, and it's not even just back movements, if you're working up on higher complexity movements first, and then moving into similar like-for-like movements that are lesser complexity with more external stabilization afterwards, you really don't need to do nearly as much warming up as you might think you do. You might have to warm yourself up neurologically, so to speak, by just doing a couple of step-up sets to rehearse the pattern so that you know that you have your setup down and everything's stable. But other than that, you don't need to put on a plate and do a set of 15, and then put on 2 plates and do a set of 10. Just like peel it down the whole way and get 100 reps in before you do a working set that's on a machine that takes care of all of the unstable variables for you. Like, you don't need to do that. As long as you're queued up and you're ready for it, your body's warm, the patterning is already set in place and you know how to set up properly, kind of eliminate all the need for doing an extensive warm-up prior to 6 sets of stimulation.
That way, you get stronger.
Faster. Because you don't actually expend energy that you didn't need to expend doing nothing productive.
Getting strong like Nick. That's Michael.